Welcome to the Naked Salon, where we strip away the hype and get down to the bare truth. This is a conversation, and you are welcome to join in. And we want to thank everybody for the overwhelming response we got to our first show. And we will be rebroadcasting that show today immediately after this show. So you might want to get yourself a very big cup of coffee, because we're going to be here for 2 hours, an hour live, and then the hour broadcast if you missed last week's show. And today's show is called Naked Philanthropy. And we're getting down to the bare truth about philanthropy. And today we will attempt to answer the question, can you do good and do well? And I just wanted to mention that this is a really important show to me, because today is my late father's anniversary of his birthday. His birthday is November 16th, and he passed away from ALS. So there's a certain beauty in actually doing this show today, since a couple of our guests are going to be talking about working with the ALS Foundation. And we'll let them talk more about that. But before we do, I want to remind you that this is an interactive show, and you have the opportunity to call in to gotwebtv.com at 818-991-6137. So we welcome your calls. And my name is Audrey Philpott, and I've been doing salons forever. I'm just a devotee of getting people together and having good conversations. And so this program really evolved out of that. And so we're inviting you to be part of the salon too. And now I'm going to introduce my co-host, Mark Appelman. Take it away, Mark.
Well, good morning, and thank you, Audrey. I am Audrey's brother-in-law, in case you wanted to know part of the connection that we have here. And also, we're both aficionados of human beings doing and being the best that they can be. I'm very excited to have philanthropic pursuit and that general topic brought up. This is our second show. Last week, our first show had to do with oneness, and it was our first show. So our second show has to do with the second. After we get a good sense of ourselves and we feel good about ourselves now, how can we give back? How can we connect to the world outside of us? So this is our second show. We have 4 guests today with us, and perhaps a mystery guest on the phone later. But our first guest is Michelle Rosen, and she is with the ALS group. We also have Carrie Sharpshire?
Correct.
Oh, good. Thank goodness. Okay. And Ms. Sharpshire is involved with an organization that oversees some more global issues, and she'll have a chance to speak about this. We also have a volunteer, and even our near president, George Bush, talks about volunteerism as being an important feature, and he is a volunteer on a search engine that he'll be talking about. And finally, carrying a light footprint is Miss Lightfoot, Gretchen Lightfoot, who is the overseeing a regional office for ALS, and she'll describe her involvement as well. So I always put together some questions for the show just to guide and provoke and that sort of thing if we need that. So the first question I had regarding philanthropy has to do with what's creating it. You know, where does it come from? When we're born, we don't just like start talking, going, how can I help? So oftentimes it seems to me as an independent observer that there's usually a personal rite of passage. Some event, something happens from a crisis, a personal or a collective crisis. So I'm going to start with Michelle and ask each of you just that very first question. How did this happen for you? How did you find yourself involved in philanthropy and therefore sitting in this chair today? Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me today. My father, David Rosen, got diagnosed with ALS in June 2002, and since that point I started volunteering with the Greater Los Angeles chapter, we put together a walk team for our walk and raised a lot of money. And then I was in school in Northern California, and I decided to help up in Northern California as well with the Bay Area chapter. I put together my own walk team up there, and then after my father passed away, I created Never Give Up wristbands, which
you've brought to the show.
I brought today.
Right.
They're like
And
the Live Strong
many of the guests
wristbands.
have wearing them. Unfortunately, I was not deemed worthy of one of them.
That's okay.
Mark,
There we go. All right.
Michelle, can you tell us what ALS is, what that stands for? Because I'm not
Thank
sure
you.
everybody really knows what ALS is.
ALS stands for amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. It's also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. It's basically the deterioration of your muscles. In most cases, it starts in the limbs of your body, your arms and your legs. In other cases, like my father's, it's called bulbar onset, and it starts in your throat, and you lose your voice, the ability to talk, the ability to chew, swallow, eat food, and there's no cure. Most cases, you pass away between 2 and 5 years. Other cases are very slow progression. My father's, he had it for 2 years.
Doesn't Stephen Hawking have ALS?
Yeah, he has a very slow progression.
And he's the famous physicist.